am going to open up with an album by a band called Ancient Death called Ego Dissolution, which is out on the wonderful, because I do like them a lot, Profound Law, who have been around for quite a while now and do keep coming up with the goods, all things heavy and extreme.
Yes.
Ancient Death are a 4-piece from Massachusetts.
Are they American?
Yes.
I didn't realise that.
Oh, they're from Massachusetts. Were you imagining they were Scandinavian?
I thought they were European.
No, American.
Oh, okay.
This is their first full-length record.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get onto that.
Yeah, I mean that's.
It must to have released this on Profound Law means that it's obviously an exceptional record, but also they have put out a handful of kind of singles and the odd EP. People have clearly picked up how good this band are. The first thing I'll say is I don't know how old they are or anything, but this is one of, if for a first release, and I'm not going to spend hours trying to think of another one. For a first release, this is one of the most intelligent records I think I've ever heard.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
And if they're young, I have no idea how people of, even in their late 20s, 30s, how they've come up with this, because it's the sort of music that most people take a lifetime to learn how to create.
I mean, it is so well written, so well put together, so well produced.
It's unbelievably well written. Yeah. So this is a death metal record, but back into a growing trend of more progressive, shall we call them cosmic death metal records?
Yeah.
This one isn't supposed to be about space, I don't think. This is supposed to be about the ego and the self, but it feels, dare I say it, most recently it's got elements of blood incantation about it.
Yeah, it does. You messaged me saying the most horrendous sentence, saying it's almost touching skin with blood incantation. It just gave me the creeps. But then I listened to it and I get exactly what you mean. It does.
Yeah.
It sits in that same kind of sonic area.
Which is ridiculous, seeing as we're talking about probably the best album that was released.
Well, some people said in the century.
Yeah, I mean, it was a hell of an album.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of the death metal genre, obviously the band Death, who, you know, were right at the forefront of death metal, went through, before obviously Chuck Schuldiner was still alive, they went through a period where they did albums like The Sound of Perseverance, and they started to take death metal into a more progressive space. Tomb Mold have done it. Blood Incantation have obviously done it on a number of albums, not least Absolute Elsewhere, which was probably took it to literally its pinnacle.
Yeah.
But this album, it's gargantuanly heavy. The bass tone is glorious.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just one of those twanging, heavy bass lines.
You picked up on that because you're a bassist.
Yeah.
I picked up on the guitar sound.
The guitar sound's exception as well.
It's mind-blowingly good.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, this album goes everywhere. But what takes it to all those places, and the one thing we do definitely need to pay a huge amount of credit to, is the jazz-style drumming.
Yeah.
That is going on underneath. The off-kilter beats, the backbeats, the going into a blast, going into some kind of open swing section.
There's a lot of ride cymbal.
There's a lot of ride, but the drummer is literally commanding this whole performance and taking everything, even within a song, from movement to movement and from act to act. It just moves fluidly and beautifully throughout.
And interestingly, we have just commended the bassist, the guitarist, and the drummer. So essentially what we're saying is they're all phenomenally good.
They're all phenomenal. And the vocals are pretty good as well.
Yeah, the vocals are amazing as well.
This is a sort of album, though. I mean, I've written something here which probably is overblowing it a bit, but it's certainly true of Blood Incantation, and this touches
skin
with it a bit. It takes the sort of thing that Stephen Wilson does and puts it into a death metal environment.
Yeah.
It's that progressive cleverness of knowing when things need to change, or knowing how to layer something to the point that it changes before the mind even realizes you're into a different section, because it's already been building up through the section before.
Yeah, I think it's the way they, so the music and the writing of the songs is part and parcel of the production. I think that's what's key here. Is it's not they've written these songs and then produced them. They've written these songs with the production in mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is exactly what I imagine Stephen Wilson does, and exactly what Blood Incantation would do as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the production is almost an instrument in itself.
Yeah, it is. And it's the production, obviously the songwriting, but it's the production that creates this kind of kaleidoscope of images in your brain that are not mundane. These things deal with big existential subjects, these albums. They feel bigger than just the normal plane of mankind. They're quite mind expanding in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So just to run you through the album, Ego Dissolution, the album title, is also the first track. Just hits with a kind of blackened barrage of everything. Just brings it all in. A hell of, like, a thumping riff throughout it. But it's got immediately that bloody jazz drum patterns that just take you all over. You think, I'm not going to feel relaxed in this because I can feel it's already changing and the song's only just started. Same way that Imperial Triumphant do the same thing, and the Imperial Triumphant drummer is also very clearly jazz trained because he plays exactly like that. The album goes through. Also interesting, the first song is 2 minutes before the vocals come in. There's a whole guitar solo before the vocal hits.
Yeah,
I mean, and again, that's almost kind of promoting that transcendental, mind-expanding feel where you never really know what's going to happen when, if you know what I mean. It's not a traditional song structure. Next song, Breaking the Barriers of Hope, comes in. Starts like Power Trip. I mean, it really does. You're like, I recognise this. It's like a Power Trip song.
Yeah.
But then goes all groovy. But it's actually that song, I did write this down. It's got a ridiculously groovy riff and rhythm to it, but they get away with it because it's so detuned. It still sounds nasty, but it's actually quite a funky beat they're playing underneath
the
it.
guitar solo in the second, I think it's the second track.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure it's the second track as well. The way that the solo is panned like hard left as far as it can go, but the delay, so the delayed guitar sound comes through panned far right.
Yeah.
And it's like standing on Jupiter listening to this because it's such a wide sonic space.
Yeah.
It's mad.
And that's the cosmic bit. And I don't think they're going for that on this because it doesn't feel, feels a bit more kind of, I don't know, the cover is just very...
There's a lot of eyes.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a bit acid.
Yeah.
But it does feel really cosmic. And what it does, this album, and you go through into Breathe, that does the same thing. And the Journey to the Inner Soul, actually, which is a shorter kind of instrumental, almost death metal Pink Floyd song. They're taking you on this journey, and people like journeys in albums. It's like in black metal when Stormkeep came out, whatever the bloody album's called, Tales of Other Time.
Yeah.
That was another one that took you on this journey. People like to be taken on a bit of a quest, in inverted commas, in an album.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do.
I totally agree.
But Blood Incantation have done it, and this certainly has done it.
Yeah, a lot of my favourite albums are albums that, if you ask me for a standout track, a lot of them I wouldn't give you one because you need to listen to the whole thing from start to finish. And this, to me, is one of them, actually. I would struggle to say this is the best track. I know, obviously, we'll add a track to it.
Yeah.
To the playlist.
No, it's hard to put a track on.
But this is something that needs to be listened to from start to finish.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the heaviest track is probably Echoing Chambers Within the Dismal Mind.
Yep.
Which was probably the most kind of death metal track. The vocals on that were amazing, like really throaty, gravelly.
He's quite versatile.
Yeah, he is.
It's all kind of the similar death metal style generally, but he's very good at kind of changing the intensity on like a kind of graded scale.
Yeah, no, he does it fantastically. There is no weak part of this album. I could keep talking about it, but I mean, it finishes with a 7-minute epic kind of track called Violet Light Decays, where the vocals almost go quite hardcore. He totally changes his style in that at the end. Completely different.
But it's still got that same depth and like death gravel to it. It's not quite as...
No, not as shouty.
Yeah.
No, but he does definitely change his kind of style. And even within 7 minutes, I know that's a long song, but the track metamorphosizes so much throughout it. It just keeps changing into something else. I mean, I could talk about this record for ages, but for a first release, this is ludicrous.
It's nuts, this first.
Absolutely ludicrous.
Absolutely nuts.
It sounds so much more intelligent and more developed than a band at this point of their career should be, but they've done it.
Is there information available? Have you tried to find out if they're from other bands or anything like
I've
that?
looked on, there's not really at all. I think the drummer's played in a couple of other bands, and he looks slightly older, but there's very little on them. Not that I could find. I mean, this would... the last thing I noted was this would appeal to fans of Porcupine Tree. This would appeal to fans of Gojira. Mastodon. I mean, it's all within that pocket. Stephen Wilson, but also just death metal fans. You know, people into, I don't know, friggin' Morbid Angel would get this.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Absolute Elsewhere. I'm going to put that out there now.
No, it's not.
Which is exceptional.
But the fact that we're even talking about it in the same sentence, and it's their first release.
Yeah. It's, I would say, I'm going to put it on record, I think it's nearly as good as The Hidden History of Human Race, which was Blood Incantation's album that kind of broke them through in that prog death. I think it was their third or fourth album.
I was trying to remember just then which one it was, but I can't remember.
But they've done two since. The one before Absolute Elsewhere, I wasn't that into. But so it's nearly as good as that.
Yeah.
So they're already halfway down the journey of becoming pretty incredibly good. Now, can they do it again? I don't know. But
will we see them as a support act?
Well, I think
Blood Incantation.
Yeah, I mean,
possibly.
I think they will rise quite rapidly. And one thing I would say, certainly to our listeners, is if you liked the Blood Incantation record, absolutely go and check out Ancient Death, because it is.
And if you didn't, go and listen to it again.
Yeah, exactly. This is just brilliant. It never lost me from start to finish.
No.
It's only 40 minutes long, I think, something like that. So
yeah, stunning record.
Ancient Death, Ego Dissolution.
Tasting Notes with Bryn and Jaff.